Welcome to Speaking of Adoption, where we dive into the heart of adoption, sharing real stories, breaking down myths, and shining a light on how adoption can be done with love, integrity, and respect. Whether you're a birth parent, adoptive family, adoptee, or just someone who wants to learn more, this is a space for honest conversations and meaningful connections. Join us as we explore the beautiful, complex, and life-changing world of ethical adoption. Let's get started. Let's go. Okay, today's episode is one that feels very close to our hearts because we are sitting down with someone who spent almost 2 decades walking alongside adoptive families through every high and low. She's now a retired adoptive family case manager at a guardian angel, and her impact still echoes through the lives she touched. Don't make me cry. Don't.
You don't.
Over the years, she witnessed stories of joy, heartbreak, resilience, and miracles, and she became more than a caseworker. She became a part of each family's journey. Today, we get to hear about her experience, the lessons that have stayed with her, and the moments she'll never forget. And I won't be emotional the whole time, I promise.
Gosh.
Whether you're part of the adoption community or simply drawn to stories of connection and purpose, this is a conversation you won't want to miss. So I am so excited anytime to sit down with Miss Jodie to talk with her. So hi, Jodie.
Hi, man.
Sorry about that. That'll be it.
Crying.
That'll be it. So as I kind of mentioned already, you were the adoptive family case manager. So a lot of people don't even know like what that title means. So would you explain a little bit what that role is?
For sure. And when I was there, I did probably 90% of all of our cases. I loved it. And it was addicting. And I had a really hard time asking the other case manager for help because I was kind of the lead case manager. And so what it meant is that someone like you did the matching. Your predecessor did the matching. I don't think you did match as well as there, did you?
For a little bit, yeah.
You did, yeah. Sorry. So you would do the matching, and you would find the right family for a birth mom, and then I would call them, congratulate them, talk to them with about any of their questions or fears or needs, and tell them kind of what to expect through the adoption process, what I had experienced in the past, and what could happen and what might happen and what we hoped would happen and what we hoped wouldn't happen and all of that. And then it would come time for them to come into town if most of the time they were from out of state. And I would go meet them at the airport and escort them to their hotel and get them settled. And then it was usually the next day because they'd come in usually the night before delivery. We would wake up. I'd meet them at the hospital, and we'd go and we'd wait till the birth mom was ready for them, and then we'd go in for the delivery. And I think I was in, I don't know, 300-400 deliveries. I'm not sure how many I should count, but
wow,
pretty special to be in those.
How would you even count?
Yeah.
Like, how would you even count?
I don't know, but I'd like to try someday. But
that's your guess.
Pretty special.
It's 300 to 400.
Yeah, I think so. And then there were those times when I would introduce myself and say, okay, birth mom's delivering in 2 weeks. Can't wait to see you. And then the next morning we'd get a call at 2 a.m. Oh, she popped is what I always called it. And so I'd call them and say, she's popped and it's time to get here. And they would scurry and jump on a plane and get here as fast as they could. And we always loved it when they were there for the delivery if that's what the birth mom wanted. And most of the time they could make it. So sometimes they didn't, but it always worked out. Yeah. So it was kind of, and then I was there at signing. And then afterward kind of visited with them. Oh, we also went to dinner. Usually birth mom wanted to go to dinner with them and get to know them in person. And so we would go out to an adoptive family dinner with a birth mom case manager and the birth mom and them and me, and just get to know them over a meal. And that was really fun to see those connections and the questions that she had for them, and just that instant bond and love and just meant to be. It was really
Yeah.
sweet.
Yeah. And we'll get into that in a little bit, like those bonds and experiences that you had. I often tell people, because I call and tell people when they're chosen and kind of like what the next steps are, because when they're going through the process of finding their birth mom, I'm kind of like holding their hand through that. And then so when I call and tell them, I used to always say, when you were the case manager, I would always say, Jodie's your case manager, and she will hold your hand through the rest of the process. And I promise you, she will be your new favorite person in the world. She'll become your new best friend because that is you in general, but also that's the role that's why you played your role so well, because you really do have to um, just guide them through this super vulnerable process that they just have no idea. You know, they're blindfolded, and you kind of guide them through it. And yeah, that's, I think, cool for people to hear what we do here for families. And birth moms, of course, have their own case manager who do that for them. So we have separate,
Yes,
people
everybody
giving
needs to be
support.
taken care of
Hmm.
and and have all the information that they need
Yeah,
through
and
this.
getting
It's really, and it's,
individualized.
yeah,
Oh,
it's the biggest, it's one of the biggest decisions families will ever make, right? Besides who you marry and then your children and how your children come to you, where you live. Like there's just three really big ones, right? And so it was really special to be able to be there for that part of their lives. Like special doesn't describe it. I always felt like a tool in God's hands. I
for
did.
sure.
And it was just an honor that I can never explain. Yeah. Yeah.
When you were working there and you would tell people like what your job was, like
Mhm.
a random person at the grocery store, pretend. And
Mm.
what did you ever hear, like common misconceptions or like things that people like didn't understand about adoption?
Um, I hated it when people would say, "Why would she give up her baby?" You know, that was always a tough one for me, but it was always nice to educate and say, "You know what? This is her path. This is this birth mom's path, and this baby belongs to this family." And it's, and I'll explain later in the conversation how it became extremely obvious. That's not just my own personal opinion. It became so obvious there's no way you could deny it. And and so to be able to share with people, you know what, it's a spiritual thing. It's an incredible experience that kids go where they're supposed to go, and God knows where they're supposed to go. And so it, when you say a birth mom gave up her child, she didn't. She placed that baby, and it is the most unselfish thing she'll do her entire life. The hardest and the most unselfish.
Yeah, totally.
Yeah.
So, so what do you have any like specific situations that you could share that it felt like it was orchestrated by something bigger than us? Because you've mentioned that a couple times.
Yeah, for sure. So here's what happened. The first time it happened, I was like, ah, you know, and then the second time, and then the third, and then the 150, I was like, of course. I mean,
Yeah.
I saw it so many times. So, so I'll give you one that always pops in my head. I'm not sure why this one pops in my head because, like I said, there's probably 1,000 that were like this, but I was, so birth mom, sometimes birth moms want to name their baby, even though they know they're not going to be raising that child. They want to give that child a name. And so when the baby's placed with a family 5, 10 years down the road, a year down the road, when the family writes letters to the birth mom, she puts they put the name on the letter that the birth mom chose. You
Yeah.
know, Mikey's doing great. In their home, his name is Bob,
Yeah.
but Mikey's doing great for the birth mom because that's who she knows that baby to be. And it was important to her to name that baby. So not all of them wanted to, but I would say at least 90% of birth moms want to name their baby. Do you think that's about right?
Yeah. Yeah. They have
Maybe.
something special picked out. Hmm.
Yeah.
Hmm.
So I was coming home one day and um, I had a birth mom case manager on the phone, and she said, this birth mom, let's say Susie, wants to know what the family's going to name the baby. And I said, I don't know. Let me give them a call and see what their thoughts are. And then I said, well, do you know if Susie has a name in mind already? And they said, yeah, she wants to name him Joshua. And I totally remember this was Joshua. And I said, oh, that's so cute. Well, let me call and ask them. So I called them and I said, hey, do you guys have a name picked out? And they said, yeah, he's for sure going to be Joshua. And they had no connection with the birth mom at that point. They had no, and so I was able to call call that case manager back and say, Joshua.
Oh my
And it
gosh.
was just, I think names are so important to God, and so such an amazing thing on earth and in heaven. That's my personal opinion. But that was all just real. And that happened. It happened with, I was out to lunch, I think, one time with a family, and I said, what are you going to name the baby? And I think it was Jude or Judah, what I think it was Jude, which is not a real common name. And sure enough, the birth mom named the baby Jude. And then I did have, probably more than once, adoptive families aren't privy to birth mom's last names, and vice versa, of course. And I remember in particular one time a birth mom's last name was Williams, and the family came ready to name that baby William. Of course, no inclination that that was
I have
her
no
last.
idea.
Yeah. So that was, I had always felt bad that I didn't write a book about that, because there was, I lost count. I mean,
Hmm.
I got to the point where I would say, I would think, oh, they're going to name the baby, you know, Sarah. And I'd go to the hospital the next morning and the birth mom would, I mean, I could almost mouth it with her, Sarah, because it happened so many times. It was just, it was one miracle after another that you could see through those names. And I was also always grateful to God for that, for the way that he showed that miracle, because I feel like birth moms need that comfort so
Yes.
badly. And so for us as humans to be able to see that sign, so clearly and so simply, and to share that with the birth mom was just such a gift from him, to let her
Yeah.
know, I know you're doing this extremely difficult, most difficult thing you'll ever do. And I want to give you this piece, this little bit of peace. And so that was for sure. That was my favorite part of my job, for sure.
Aw.
Yeah.
Yeah, it gives them that confirmation that they are doing what, you know, they
Yep.
should be doing at that
And the
time.
families too. Yeah.
Yes. Yeah. That's so sweet.
Yeah.
Yeah, we see that a lot with the names. And you would think that,
That's
like, kind of like what you said, like after 150th time, you're like, yep. And you definitely feel that way, like, yeah, of course, but it still surprises you
still, it does.
every time that there's some small connection, whether it's the name or, you know, sometimes it's the most random things, like
Yep.
had the same dog's name growing up, or
Yes.
just something
Yes.
so silly that
True.
really connects them. And
Yep.
it just never like ceases to amaze, at least
Yeah.
me. I'm like,
Yep.
this is crazy, like
Well,
every
when I
situation.
when I say, yeah, of course, I don't mean that it still
Yeah.
wasn't special, because it hit my heart every time. But it
Hmm.
was like, well, no surprise, because this is meant to be. And how incredible is this that you get to know that?
Yeah.
So, yeah, it was pretty neat.
Yeah, I love that. Can you share a time when something didn't go as planned, but ended up turning out exactly how it was supposed to?
For sure. So, two, this happened, multiple times when a birth mom would come. We'd take care of her. She would want to place her baby. The family would come into town, and she would deliver, and she could not bring herself to place. And I would tell the families, listen, it happens. And I can promise you that if she is not placing this baby with you, this is not your baby. And 9 out of 10 times when this happens, your baby is right around the corner. And that happened so often. But even more than that, one that sticks in my head, of something that didn't go the way planned, but it was really meant to be. We actually had an adoptive mom and dad out here, and the dad was very distant the whole time and kept to himself. We were at the hospital for the delivery, kept to himself. And the adoptive mom was able to go in. I think they wanted just her, if I remember right, in the delivery room. And so I was in a patient room waiting with the dad and having a conversation with him. And he wasn't a great communicator, but during the conversation, I did get out of him that it was obvious that he was there because his wife wanted to adopt a baby and not him. He was not ready for that. And it just grinded on me and grinded on me the whole conversation. And I thought, doesn't matter how much your wife wants this to happen. If you don't both want this to happen, this is not supposed to be. And so I actually called the directors, and um, they came to the hospital and had a chat with him, and they pulled it. They pulled the placement. It wasn't right for him. It wasn't fair to the baby. It wasn't fair to the birth mom. And you felt bad for the mom, the adoptive mom, but it just felt right. And we just knew that that baby deserved so much more, deserved a two-parent home that wanted it so badly. And so, yeah, that one is probably one that was probably one of my hardest placements, because I hated kind of being the one to call attention to that and kind of help make that call. And anyway, very rewarding, because I could tell that I couldn't let it go. So,
Wow.
yeah.
So what happened after that? Did the agency get a new family, and how did that go?
Yeah. So they left. Agency got a new family in, and I don't have contact with that particular family, but yeah, hopefully happy ever after.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Wow. That does say a lot. That says so much
Yeah.
about like you and the agency being able to, I mean, I'm sure in that moment it was really difficult for the birth mom to hear like this family you've
Yeah.
chosen, we actually aren't comfortable moving forward with
Yeah.
them. Like that's a really
Right.
difficult position to be in. So
Right.
for you and the directors to like take that on, because it's so important where these
Yeah.
babies are going and that's the utmost importance,
Right.
that says a lot and
Right.
about them and you, that
Yeah.
you took that to heart and knew something wasn't right.
Well, and that's one thing about Guardian Angel that always was evident. It's about the birth mom, and it's about the baby, and it's about the families. But I will say it's mostly about the baby. Um, that baby deserves the life that they were born to live, and that birth mom doesn't have all the power to see what that dad is thinking and saying and feeling, and so you have to step in and be those people for her, so that as she makes this very difficult decision, it's a great outcome for her and her baby.
Mm-hmm.
And it was hard. That was a hard one,
Yeah.
but it just felt so relieving once it was done, for sure.
Yeah. And
Yeah.
people don't see the behind the scenes of how much we have to protect birth moms, how much we have to protect babies. And
Yep.
of course, we also protect adoptive families as well. But people aren't seeing all the pieces that come in that are so important to make a successful placement happen like that.
Right. For sure. For sure. Yeah. It's an honor to do it and to be in the middle of it. I'll tell you that. Yeah.
Yeah. And a lot of responsibility.
Yeah.
Were there any families or birth moms, maybe you can share both, that you stayed especially close to over the years?
So I have one birth mom in particular. She's a single mom, or sorry, adoptive mother in particular. She's a single mom, and she sends me pictures of her and her daughter
Hmm.
probably every 3 months or so. And
Oh.
so I've gotten to watch her raise her daughter. She's a Caucasian woman, and the little girl was, I think, full African American, and their relationship is so solid and so cute, and you can tell they're just like best friends. And so every time she sends me a picture, I just get ecstatic. And then, of course, on Facebook, I'm friends with a lot of adoptive families, and I wrote an adoptive family book when I was there. that the agency gave out to a lot of families. And I once in a while will have a family reach out and tell me that they still read that story to their kids at night, and it just makes me feel so good. And it kind of explained, the process of with animals. It kind of explained the process of what happened um, when their adopted family was found for them. And so it's so fun to me that they still share that book with their kids. So there's that. And then as far as birth moms go, so
Well, let me stop you.
oh,
Maybe just say the name of your book in case
oh,
people want to know what you're talking about
oh, it's
and where
cute.
they can find it.
Oh, it's called Jovie's Path, and I think it's still available on Amazon. I'll have to double check, but
Cute. It's
um,
adorable. So cute.
yeah.
Such good animation and a cute story.
Oh,
Okay,
yes,
sorry, I interrupted.
Jovi, Jovie's Path, and my daughter Ashley did the illustrations, and she did a special job. So that book's tender to my heart, but not a plug for my book, but it is tender when
Well,
families
well.
bring it up still. And then, so birth moms, I wasn't privy to get as close to, because, you kind of stay on your side so you can protect the adoptive family. And so, and then, but you can't help sometimes but fall in love with birth moms. And so I wasn't with them for as much time,
Mhm.
but still we had one birth mom. Um, I'll call her, Emily. She came to us her first time. I want to say, I don't really remember, but I want to say she was maybe 19 or 20. I think Mandy knows the one I'm talking about. Do you think that sounds about right? Maybe. She was pretty young.
Yeah.
Anyway, she came, and everybody fell in love with her. She was from the South, and she had this tiny little voice, and she'd say, "How are you today, Miss Jodie?" And
Mhm.
it just warmed my heart. She was so innocent and sweet and cute, and she'd had a terrible, terrible growing up years. And so she had older men kind of take her in and become her support. And she would get pregnant, and she would come to a guardian angel and place her baby. And I think overall, I think she placed about 9 babies. And it was always sad when we heard she was coming back.
Mhm.
Because when they're here, we always like to educate them and give them the tools they need to go home and change their lives and make a different story going forward. And Emily just couldn't do it. She would go home, and she was so tender and sweet, and she would come back pregnant again. But it always touched me that I think sometimes she would come back because she felt loved from
Yeah.
us, and we would take care of her for months, and she felt protected and loved and cherished and respected. And and she knew that we would find a family to give her baby a great life. And she in no way had the tools to do that. She didn't have the means to do that. Um, she had no idea how to raise a child. And so, honored that she would keep coming back to us, but kind of sad, that her path still kind of continued on that way. But I will never forget her, and she will always be dear to me. Yeah.
Yeah. And a lot of these women, these birth moms,
Mhm.
connect with their adoptive families in a way that they don't have a connection with their families because they have
Mhm.
difficult home lives, or they all come from different walks of life, but
Yep.
a lot of them are connecting so deeply with these adoptive families who aren't just adopting their child. They the birth moms also become part of their family as
Yeah,
well.
for sure.
And that's a special connection that you can't quite explain to people between birth moms and
Yeah.
adoptive families. And I know with this specific birth mom you're talking about, I believe she picks a new family every time because they,
Mhm.
right?
I think
Am
so.
I wrong? Because they
I
have
think
the
so.
choice of like, do you want us to contact your previous family? Do you want a new
Right.
family? And so she has all these great families who are loving on her and supporting her and rooting for her, and and the agency as well. But I
Sure.
feel like it's given her a unique support system
Yeah,
in a very unconventional way.
I agree. I agree for sure. She gets what she needs, and there's nowhere else that she's getting it. And so if you add that up, there's a lot of days in her life that we've been there for her. And so grateful that we got to do it because she really is a special, special girl.
Yeah.
Really special girl.
I mean, do you have contact with her still? I don't know if.
I don't.
Yeah.
I don't. I mean, sometimes she'll call one of the birth mom case managers and I'll say, please give her my love.
Yes.
But yeah, like I said, she was more, I mean, she was with the birth mom case managers more. And so, but yeah, I've said, I just want to take her and wrap my arms around her and not let her go ever. But
I know, she's
that's
so
not how life
cute.
works.
Yeah. And
Yeah.
she's developed such good relationships with the case managers that she has. So
Yeah,
that's so great.
for
Yeah.
sure. For
Okay.
sure. Okay.
Okay. So do you have like physical contact with adoptive families, or how does that
So
look?
not a lot, but the other day I did, in fact.
Oh, really?
Yeah, I follow them on Facebook, and this has happened with a couple of families. I'm sure more than a couple, but um, they adopted from us. They had a couple biological kids, I think, and then they adopted from us. Her sister adopted from us. I think her sister's adopting her 10th child.
Oh,
Not all 10 were adopted, but I think her sister's getting ready to adopt her 10th child. So when her sister adopted, she sent this sister to us and she adopted from us, and they had this beautiful family. And then about a year ago or so, the husband passed away. He got cancer, and they're just young, like probably in their late 30s, you know who I'm talking about. And he passed away. And so that's always sad. And you think, well, birth moms hope that they're going to have the two parents unless they choose a single parent. They hope that the people they place with are going to be there for that child's entire life. But that's not life. That's not reality. Whether you birth all of your children and your husband might pass away, or the wife, I mean, that's just a part of life. And I ran into her in person the other day, and she is remarried. Her new husband was actually there, and he has
oh,
children of his own,
uh-huh.
and so they've blended those families. And she said he is just absolutely wonderful with all of her kids. So, it's not it's not really so much of a different dynamic when you adopt. You still have all the same life stuff that happens no matter how these kids come. But it was so good for me to see that, that husband gets an opportunity to love on those little kids that
Yeah.
she adopted previously,
Yeah.
and that she gave birth to too. So, and just the cutest family. So that was fun.
Oh, I'm happy to hear that
Yeah.
you saw her and she's doing well because, yeah, I know exactly who you're talking about. And that was so
Yay.
heartbreaking for all of us at the
Yes.
agency to hear that news
Yes.
that he had passed. And thankfully she's doing well. And
Right.
yep, yep.
Yeah.
As a case manager, an adoptive family case manager, you're like a comforting presence to them, through their process. And you are such a big part of that time of their lives. And I often have, repeat adoptive families who come back to adopt again. And they always ask me, is Jodie still there? And
Oh.
I'm like, no.
Oh.
And everyone's sad.
That's
But
so
you're just so loved by everyone that you worked with, and even birth
sad.
moms. I mean, I know like you and I both have kind of that similar relationship with birth moms where it's not as deep or long as birth mom case managers,
Yeah.
but even birth moms ask about you who are repeat birth moms because you just made such a incredible impact on their lives and you're so loving to them, and that's exactly what
Oh,
they need at that time. And I just want you to know how amazing you did at your job because that's
thank you.
important.
That means a lot because it was really special to me and really, really hard to walk away from.
Well, so tell us how long you were there.
I was there about 17 years, and when I walked away, I had become a realtor. Someone, in fact, an adoptive mom,
Mm-hmm.
had said to me, "You would be a great realtor, and it's a lot the same of what you do here." And I thought, babies, houses, and but then like I said earlier, I mean, it is among the top three or four most important things where you live. So That's
Yeah.
how so it became very successful quickly. And I just thought, I can't do both. And I really thought, I have got to give someone else the opportunity to experience this incredible job. I mean, I
Oh,
can't just keep this to myself forever and try and do both things and probably not do either one as good. So yeah, it was hard to pass the baton on, but yeah, and I miss the people I work with so much. I really do.
no.
And I sometimes want to just pop in the office and be like, I'm here. I'd be
Oh,
like,
they'd all be so excited. The
well, there's a lot of new ones. They'd be like, "Who are you?"
crazy woman.
But anyway, yeah, that's why I walked away. I mean, I just thought someone else needs a turn anyway, and it is it's a stressful job,
It's so
and
emotional, so emotionally
it
toll.
is
It
so
takes emotional toll.
emotional in every
Mhm.
way. And the 2 a.m. calls are hard. It's hard to wake from a dead sleep. And when you get to the hospital and you're there in that delivery, it's fantastic. Um, I can tell you a funny story about a delivery if you want. It
Absolutely.
wasn't funny when it happened.
Okay.
Um,
Let's
I
hear
made the
it.
mistake. So a lot of times the delivery, the doctor would allow adoptive mom or adoptive dad to cut the umbilical cord.
Mhm.
And I made the mistake of one day of letting him know that I had never cut an umbilical cord in all the placements I'd been in, and the adoptive family didn't make it in time for the delivery, and so he he said, "Jodie, you're going to cut the cord," and I
Who's
said,
he?
"Oh, the doctor,
Okay. Oh,
you're going to cut the cord," and I said, "Okay, that's great."
okay.
And I don't know if you know, but a baby can perish in seconds if you cut the cord without clamping it off. They can bleed out super, super fast. And so I'd never done it before, and he held that up there and he had his clamps, and I cut it, and he had the umbilical cord double wrapped. So when I cut it, blood started spraying from the other side on the other case manager's shoes, and it was like slow motion for me. What have I done? Oh my gosh. And they're taking the baby and they're taking him over to the thing. And I looked at the doctor and he goes, I told you just to cut through the first layer. I'm like, I'm sorry. You handed me scissors and I just cut. And it's because he had a double wrap. So it was no big deal, but it was so frightening to me. And so
Yeah.
then I was in another delivery and the same thing. And he knew that devastated me. And even though everything was fine, visually it was horrible at the moment. But I was in another delivery, and the adoptive family didn't make it, and I could feel him. I could feel him looking. I could feel it coming, and so I backed up to the wall and tried to become a part of the wall. And he goes, "You're going to cut this umbilical cord. You're going to do a better job this time, or something." And I said, "I'm not." And he goes, "Okay, we'll just sit here." So he's holding this baby, having been delivered, with an umbilical cord ready, because I'm like, I'm not. And he's like, "You are." And so I did it, and I did a most fabulous job. But anyway,
What?
it was so awkward, something I tried to never do again. But
I've
anyway,
never heard that story. I didn't know you've done that twice.
yeah,
That's
never
crazy.
again.
Never. No, now you know. Now you know how. You've got
Now
it
I know
down.
how. I
Yeah,
was an
you're
overachiever
trained.
on the first one. I'm like going at it. Anyway,
Oh.
it was it was interesting, but yeah, I'd rather
Mm,
just watch the deliveries. I have no desire to be a
yeah,
part of it.
yeah.
But
Let
those
them.
deliveries were just beautiful, beautiful
Oh yeah.
delivery. I mean, I had some scary situations that turned out fine, and
Mm,
um, there's a lot that goes on in those deliveries, and
yes.
the family's there and they're ready, and the birth mom, when that baby's born and she hands it to them, I mean, there's nothing better. It's
Yeah.
just something else.
Yeah.
And I always told adoptive families to have one of them go to the baby and one stay with the birth mom. And they were always so great, as much as they both wanted to just run over to that baby in the bed. And birth moms would visit with them for a minute and be like, go see your baby. But they're just so respectful of what she was doing for them and for that baby. And anyway, yeah,
Mhm.
deliveries were fun.
Yeah. I mean, delivering a baby in itself without the adoption
Yeah.
even included is
Yeah.
such an amazing, beautiful spiritual experience, and you get to just witness that on a weekly basis. That is just amazing.
Neat.
I've been able to like cover for some case managers and do it a couple times, and it's amazing. But yeah, I go home and I need like 2 days to recover because it's so emotional. And
it's true. People don't know.
Yeah, they don't know. But again, that's why you were so great at your job, because you really did. You're such an empath, and you really feel the emotions that are going on in that delivery room from the adoptive family side and the birth mom side. And it's very complex. It's very complicated. It's a lot of difficult emotions that are really, really amazing and really, really hard.
Yes.
And you kind of take that on yourself as the case manager. And I mean, 17 years is a long time to juggle that for people.
Yeah.
What
Before
did
you said juggle, I was actually going to do this because that's what you're doing.
Yes,
Really. Yeah.
totally. What did you learn, like with all those emotions, what did you learn about grief and love and resilience through working with a guardian angel?
I think I learned that grief is so much more complex than we really understand. I mean, birth moms grieve so deeply when they place that baby. But there's so much love underneath what they're doing. And they always, I will say I was so grateful that we had these amazing social workers
Yes.
that came right in and took over, and I wasn't equipped for that, and the birth mom case manager isn't equipped for that, but our amazing social workers are. And so they would walk them through that joy they were feeling for their decision, and also that grief process that was so heavy and would keep bouncing back. And so I think I learned that there is, when we're sad about something and we're down about something, we just have to remember that there's almost always some kind of joy at the end of that road. As difficult as that road is to navigate, there is joy to be had at the end. And I think adoption is the definition of that. There's just so much joy on both sides to be had through such a difficult and emotional um, path. And even the path for the adoptive families, that's not an all happy path. That's a really tough path for them. And it takes so much patience and understanding and peace that people have to find, within themselves. And I think I learned a lot about peace and joy when I was there because of that. I really do.
I love that.
Yeah.
I really love that. It's such a positive way to look at it. I love it. What do you wish every adoptive family understood going into the adoption process?
For sure. For sure. I wish they understood that when it's right, it will happen.
Yes.
I wish
Yes.
they understood that, and didn't give so much weight to grieving a birth mom who decides to parent her child. Um, and I know that's easier said than done, but if they went into it knowing that this is a real possibility that she might parent, and you need to pick up, you know, your heart off the ground and move forward and be joyful in the fact that your baby is still right around the corner. And if she wants to parent this baby, you don't want this baby. You
Yes.
really don't. You want your baby who is going to come from a birth mom who knows this baby belongs to you.
Yeah. Yeah, I love that. And I tell families all the time, I think you might have said this already earlier, but when we do have those really difficult situations where they, parent, or if there's like just a failed placement or whatever, or even just, I have to tell families they aren't chosen. Every time they present, every time they try, to get chosen, I have to tell them when they're not picked, and it just devastates them all over again. And I'm constantly telling them, and of course it's so much easier for me to say when I'm not in the thick of it, but I constantly say to them, when you have your baby in your arms, you will know why all these others didn't work out. You'll know.
Yeah.
And of course, like, I'm sure a little bit goes over their head and they're just like, yeah, yeah, yeah. But then we see it come full circle, and I see them with their baby finally, and they're like, yep, you were
You're right.
right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I
It's,
think we all live like that in the moment of our emotions.
yeah, it's
We don't,
natural.
people always say turn it over to God, but most of the time we don't know how. We
Yeah.
just don't know how to do that. And so we don't listen to that admonition. And I think if we did, how much more joy we would all feel every day through all of our personal trials and disappointments and things that we thought were going to go one way, just like a birth mom. I mean, maybe she's pregnant with a guy she adores and he leaves her and she has nothing and she has no way to take care of this baby, and and here's a guardian angel, and and there it is, and there's joy waiting for her there and peace waiting for her there. So, it's on both sides for sure.
What's something that you hope birth moms feel when they work with our agency?
I hope they feel how genuinely they are respected and loved and adored and appreciated, and how much a guardian angel realizes that the thing they're doing is the hardest thing they're going to ever do. Like, we know it, we get it, and I hope that they know that, and I hope they know that when they come to you all, they are going to be embraced and walk through this process, and it's going to be as positive of a situation as possible for them.
Yes, I
I
love
mean,
that answer. That if they choose adoption, that
yeah,
our goal is to just give them the best experience, because sometimes it's not,
yeah,
and there might be places that don't give them a positive
yes,
experience, because it's
yes.
such a difficult time to go through already, and so you really just need, like you said, the utmost respect and care and
Right. And I will say,
non-judgment.
in Yvonne's behalf,
Hmm.
I will say that Yvonne and I are very close still.
Hmm. Yvonne is
And
our director.
yeah, sorry, Yvonne's our director, and we're still very, very close. And I know, sorry, I know the difficulties emotionally that she goes through running this agency. I know how hard it is on her heart for adoptive families and birth moms and all that they go through. Um, I know that she does not get half the sleep that most of us get, and that she has 10 times the worries that most of us have. And if she didn't love what she did for these babies, she would have quit a decade ago herself. Um, that she doesn't do this for anything but these families and these babies and these birth moms. Like, she really feels, here's the call, and rises above any of her own personal discomfort through it all. It's just not an easy job. It's not an easy thing to do. And so, if a birth mom wanted to be taken care of, there is no one that will take better care of her than Yvonne. I can promise you that.
Yes. Yeah, I could not agree more. You worded
Yeah.
that perfectly.
Yeah.
Shout out to Yvonne.
Shout out.
We love you. Okay, so we have 3 questions that we ask every guest on our episode. Just a
Okay.
fun little get to know you.
Okay,
So,
go.
okay, so the first one is, what is something unique about you that not very many people know?
Hmm. Oh, I once produced a flash mob, and
Ooh,
that was super fun. And the
a
reason that
or many?
many, I
Okay.
once produced many flash mobs,
Uh-huh.
um, because with my family's help, because there's nothing more joyful than watching a whole group of people together celebrating the same thing. And we would have people come to it with their tails between their legs, like dads and their kids, that you could tell it was just on their bucket list and they really didn't want to be there, but they did it. And so it was so fun to get people out of their comfort zone and just be joyous together and dance together. So yeah, probably a lot of people don't know I did that weird thing. I'm all about
I love
random.
it.
Like, I
Yeah.
like to try and do something random every day.
I love it. So
Yeah.
cute and memorable. And I'm a little bitter that you haven't done one since I've been around. But
I know.
okay, second question is, what is your favorite form of self-care?
A bath,
Yes.
for sure.
Yes.
A long bath. A bath that's like, does anyone know where mom is? That kind of bath.
Mm-hmm. Do you
Mm-hmm.
like turn off the lights and put on candles, or is it like
I don't put
you
on
do?
candles, but I use bath salts and I have the lights low, but I should put on candles.
Yeah. Is that like a daily activity?
More in the fall and winter.
Yeah,
Not as much in the
not
summer,
so
but
much in the summer.
it is a very peaceful place for me. It's a good hiding place.
I used to think baths were weird and gross. I don't know where this like came from in my head,
Hmm.
but I recently discovered them in the last couple
Mm.
years. I know that sounds
Yes.
so weird, but I now bathe every day, and it is like my time.
Yeah.
So I get it. And
It's the
I
easiest way to
did I
self-care.
used to not get it, but I get
That's
it.
so funny. Yeah,
Yeah.
I've heard people say that about baths too, not
Yeah.
being kind of gross or something. Yeah.
I don't know where that came from, but
I
I
don't think you
love,
get dirty enough for it to be that gross.
I mean,
I
yeah.
don't usually roll around in the mud before I get in there, so
Mm,
right?
mm-hmm.
It's okay.
Yeah. Love a good bath. Okay,
Uh-huh.
what is your favorite comfort show or movie?
Favorite movie ever while you were sleeping? Because I
Oh,
love good banter, and there's no movie better with banter than while you were sleeping. Yeah. And then my show, probably Brooklyn Nine-Nine for a long time.
I've
Um,
never even heard of that.
Brooklyn Nine-Nine?
Mm-mm. Is it
No.
like a cop show?
It's it's a funny series.
Oh, okay.
I think you've heard of it. I mean,
Really?
I think I bet you've seen little pieces and not known, but yeah, it brings me a lot
Okay.
of happiness.
Oh, and do you rewatch that?
I haven't for a while, but I get tempted to every once in a while because I miss it. But
Uh-huh.
it's my
Uh,
kind of humor.
okay. What
Yeah.
about Bachelor? Does that give you comfort?
Bachelor's just a good naughty time. So we call that white trash night.
White trash night.
That's how you feel when you're watching it.
Yeah, it's a good time though. We're big Bachelor fans over here. I
Yes,
love it.
Bachelor night. Yeah.
Awesome. Well, I want to thank you again for taking the time to share your heart and stories with us today.
I
Your
loved it.
your legacy lives on in every family you supported, in every adoption you helped guide, in every moment you showed up with compassion, which was every day, right?
Thanks,
We're
Mandy.
so grateful for you at a guardian angel, and it's been such a gift having you here today. I don't know why I'm so emotional.
Bless you. I don't know.
Anyways, to our listeners, thank you for being here. And if this conversation touched you, please share it with someone you love. And we'll be back soon with more stories from the heart of adoption.
Thanks for
Thank
having
you,
me.
Jodie. I love
Bye.
you.
Love you.
Bye.
Thanks for joining us today. Adoption is very personal and looks different to each family. We'd love to hear about your own personal experiences and stories. Please email us your story at info@aguardianangel.com, and your story might be featured in a future episode. If you like what you've heard today, please leave a review and help us spread the word.
Speaking of Adoption drops every other Tuesday.
Subscribe today so you never miss a single episode. Speaking of Adoption is brought to you by A Guardian Angel Adoptions. If you or someone you know is experiencing unplanned pregnancy and you need to talk or get unbiased advice, our friendly and helpful staff is available to talk 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, even on holidays. We look forward to speaking about adoption with you next week.